it's time for the business news with Nona Pelletier, who joins me in the studio. Hi, Nona. ANZ has found a buyer for its industrial and business finance lender, UDC. So who has snapped that up?
Interestingly, it's a Japanese bank, the Shinsei Bank, and it's buying UDC for $762 million, which is a pretty good price, considering a couple of years ago, you might recall, that ANZ did try to sell the UDC and found a buyer. It was a Chinese organization, HNA Group, but they were turned down by the Overseas Investment Office and said, nah, don't know you guys. We're not a little bit sure about it, so nope. So that set back ANZ. They thought maybe we should list that UDC entity, which they've been trying to sell for a while, then decided against doing that as well. So they must be pretty happy to have found a buyer for this company.
And this purchase is all signed off?
Apparently, they say that this particular buyer will satisfy the regulators. It's a Japanese bank, so it's already got, I guess, quite a lot of credibility behind it. And so there should be those kinds of questions over its background and so on won't be an issue for the Overseas Investment Office.
Okay, well, Statistics has released some more data now demonstrating the economic damage caused by the pandemic. What have you got for us, Nona?
Well, I don't have any good news. I can say that right now. But then look, the number of new homes that were consented in April is down 17% on the year earlier. 17%. Now, that is actually the lowest number of consents for that period in nearly 9 years. So that's explained because what offices were actually open in April?
Yeah, I was going to say, is that because people aren't interested in getting a consent and pulling back from pushing ahead, or is it just that the bureaucrats who rubber stamp everything weren't in the office?
I would say that who was open? I mean, wasn't it just the whole month closed? I mean, who would have been there to do any of this work?
So they might be stuck in the pipeline somewhere.
It could be bad news. It could be that it's even worse to come. It's really hard to tell with the numbers that we're seeing. We know that things opened up a bit in May, and certainly there's hopeful signs for June. So let's not get too dark about it. But yeah, these are the numbers. Now, it was only slightly down from like in the year to February, just keeping in mind. So here's some good news. That was a 45-year record number to the year ended in February, 37,882. So the year to the end of April is 37,180.
So the bigger picture, not so bad.
Not so bad.
Single month?
Not so good. Also, our import prices for the and export prices for the first quarter. That's the first 3 months of this year versus the quarter before. That shows that our export prices took a bit of a hit. That's not surprising considering China was already in lockdown at that point. I mean, it seems like such a long time ago, but I guess our listeners will know that back in January, the virus had already affected China. There was shutdowns through February and certainly from March. That affected export prices. Interestingly, it was a drop in meat prices that drove down the export prices overall. We saw lamb prices fall 10% and beef prices down 6%. That's in addition to a drop in log prices, which was offset somewhat by dairy products. So that's held up for us, which is a good sign. Import prices they rose slightly in the first quarter. So overall, our purchasing, which is the way you kind of like work out export prices, tell us how we are doing in the world, that fell 0.7%. Not terrible, but it's the first fall in more than a year. So that's kind of telling too.
Yeah, exactly. What are the numbers looking like on the market?
A good day on the market. So the top 50 index rose 1.4% today, and that's 152 points up to 11,034. Now that's better than the rest of the region, which is you're not sure which way to move with some of the uncertainty around the China and U.S. relations, but also what's going on in the United States, and of course improvements or potential improvements with the ongoing pandemic. So there's a little bit of a mixture of sentiment there, but overall we outperformed that region. And the dollar, it's steady at 62.8 US cents, 92.4 Australian and 50.3 British pence.
Thanks, Nona. That's Nona Pelletier with our business news.